Sharon Tate went about her usual daily activities as she prepared for the coming of her child. Nothing could have prepared her family and friends for the tragedy that would befall her household that night. This video will tell you all you need to know about Sharon Tate's short and impactful life. A star is born. Born on January 24, 1943 in Dallas, Texas, Sharon Marie Tate was the first of 3 daughters born to Paul Tate, a United States Army officer, and his wife, Doris. Right from a young age, Sharon was a star. She was the kind of child who would light up a room the minute she walked into it, and people loved her for it. During her childhood, her family moved around frequently, and because of this, Sharon grew up in a number of different places, including Texas, Italy, and California. The constant movement certainly made her childhood slightly unstable, but she got to experience the diversity of different places and cultures. Very few people know that her star potential was evident right from a young age. It may surprise some people to know that Sharon amassed some crowns from beauty pageants while she was growing up. Her illustrious reign as the Queen of Beauty Pageants began with her prestigious title as Miss Tiny Tot of Dallas, followed by her coronation as Miss Richland in 1959. She then claimed her throne as the Queen of the Tri-City Autorama in Richland, cementing her status as a true beauty icon. But Tate's glamorous life didn't stop there. Her high school years were spent basking in the golden sunsets of northern Italy, where her father was stationed at an army base in Vicenza. And if that wasn't enough, she was also crowned as the prom queen, adding yet another dazzling jewel to her glittering crown of achievements. There was no denying that she was destined for greatness. After her pageantry exploits, Sharon Tate decided to drop out of high school and move to Los Angeles to pursue a career in modeling. She was only 16 at the time, but her stunning looks and striking beauty caught the eye of a number of agents, and before long she was appearing in advertisements and on magazine covers. Her career exploits. After modeling for a while, Sharon Tate began to nurse bigger dreams than just being a model. Spending time in the modeling world exposed her to the possibilities of the entertainment industry and made her believe that she was capable of becoming a great actress. After some auditions, she landed her first film role in the comedy, Barabbas, in 1961. Her performance may have been small, but it was the start of something big. Over the next few years, she was able to capture the attention of filmmakers with her acting skills and her undeniable charm. Her first small role was proof of the light and beauty she brought to screens, and it wasn't long before she started getting better opportunities. Sharon later appeared in a number of films, including The Beverly Hillbillies and The Fearless Vampire Killers. But it was her performance in the 1967 film Valley of the Dolls that really put her on the map. In Valley of the Dolls, Tate portrayed the sweet and naive actress Jennifer North. The film was a box office hit, and Tate's performance was praised for its charm and vulnerability. The film was a commercial success, and Sharon's portrayal of the character Jennifer North earned her loads of fame and influence. Finally, she was basking in the career of her dreams and making waves in Hollywood. It was only a matter of time before she would climb the ladder of success and become an A-lister. Anyone who witnessed her performance could testify to the fact that she was a talented actress who had a natural screen presence and a magnetic charisma. She was known for her ability to embody a wide range of characters, from innocent and vulnerable to fierce and independent. Tate's acting ability was rooted in her natural talent and her ability to connect with her characters on a personal level. She had a rare ability to convey emotion through her eyes and body language, which made her performances all the more powerful. What made Tate stand out as an actress was her versatility. She was equally comfortable playing comedic roles as she was playing dramatic ones, and she had a rare ability to make each character she portrayed her own. She was also a natural beauty, with striking features and an effortless grace that made her a true Hollywood icon. In addition to her acting abilities, Tate was also known for her professionalism on set. She was dedicated to her craft and worked tirelessly to perfect her performances. Her positive attitude and willingness to work hard made her a favorite among her co-stars and directors alike. A match made in heaven. Interestingly, her career was not the only thing that was working for her. Around the same time that she was gaining recognition, Sharon met and fell in love with director Roman Polanski. The couple married in London in January 1968, and their relationship quickly became the talk of the town. They were young, beautiful, and at the top of their respective careers. Together, they could undoubtedly take on the world, but while they were making plans and thinking about the future, tragedy struck, an unexpected, tragic end. Sharon and Roman were still soaking in the joys of parenthood ahead of them. Sharon Tate was pregnant, and they were beyond elated about welcoming their newborn child. Nothing and no one could have prepared them for the unexpected and sad turn of events. The tragedy was just around the corner, and everything came crumbling down in just a day. On August 9, 1969, Sharon was 8 months pregnant with Polanski's child when she and 4 others were met by her unexpected death. The tragic incident took place on the 8th of August 1969, late at night. Sharon Tate, who was heavily pregnant, was in her home that night with friends when death came knocking. The actress was enjoying the company of her beloved friends, Jay Sebring, and the well-known coffee heiress Abigail Folger, who was with her boyfriend Wojciech Frykowski. But there was one extra person, a young man named Stephen Parent, who was visiting the property's caretaker, was also there with them. In the early hours of August 9th, members of the Manson family, a cult led by Charles Manson, broke into Tate's home and proceeded to take the life of the people in the house. The incident shocked the world and brought an end to one of Hollywood's brightest stars. The aftermath of the murders was filled with grief, anger, and confusion. The investigation into the crimes was lengthy and complicated, and the trial of Manson and his followers was one of the most high-profile in American history. Despite the tragedy that surrounded her death, Sharon's legacy lives on. She was a symbol of beauty, talent, and grace, and her loss was felt deeply by the entertainment industry and the world at large. Several people chose to remember her for the light that she brought to the world and the amazing performances she left her viewers with. How she is remembered today. Sharon Tate was a woman of many facets, each one as captivating as the next. Her personality was a delicate balance of sweetness and strength, with a touch of old Hollywood glamour that made her shine like a star. Tate was known for her gentle and kind nature, which was evident in her interactions with others. She had a warm smile that could light up a room, and her infectious laughter was enough to lift the spirits of anyone in her presence. She had a natural charisma that drew people to her, and her beauty was just the icing on the cake. But beneath Tate's soft exterior was a fierce and determined spirit. She was fiercely independent, and her strong will and determination were evident in her pursuit of an acting career. She refused to be defined by her looks alone, and was determined to prove that she was more than just a pretty face. Tate was also a woman of great taste and style. She had an eye for fashion, and her elegant and sophisticated sense of style made her a true icon of the 1960s. She exuded grace and poise in everything she did, from her acting roles to her red carpet appearances. Sharon Tate was a woman of substance and style, a rare combination that made her an unforgettable figure in Hollywood history. Her warmth, strength, and beauty continue to inspire and captivate people to this day. Despite her tragic end, it is important to celebrate her life, no matter how short it was.
In the winter of 1973, a woman worked quietly as a cocktail waitress in a small New York City bar. Unnoticed by many, her presence was a far cry from the glamorous life she once led. This woman, known to the world as Veronica Lake, was once Hollywood's most captivating star, her signature peekaboo hairstyle a symbol of 1940s allure. Yet here she was, a forgotten icon serving drinks, her story lost in the echoes of her past glory. Veronica Lake's journey from Hollywood's golden screens to the dim corners of a bar is a tale wrapped in mystery and tragedy. It's a story that delves deep into the heart of fame's fleeting nature and the hidden struggles of those who live in its shadow. How did this screen siren, once the epitome of glamour, find herself in such a starkly different world? What series of events led to her dramatic fall from grace, and what can her story tell us about the price of fame? This is not just the story of a Hollywood starlet. It's a narrative that explores the darker side of celebrity and the often unseen battles faced by those in the limelight. The disturbing truth behind Veronica Lake's untimely demise is a journey through the highs and lows of stardom, a journey that reveals the fragile nature of success and the human cost of living under the constant gaze of the public eye. The Enigma of Veronica. Veronica Lake, born as Constance Frances Marie Ockelman, was an enigma from the very start. Her journey to stardom began in Brooklyn, New York, where she was born on November 14, 1922. The daughter of a seaman and an aspiring actress, Veronica's early life was marked by frequent moves and a growing fascination with the performing arts. This chapter delves into her formative years, exploring the roots of her enigmatic persona. From a young age, Veronica showed a natural flair for the dramatic. Her mother, who harbored her own theatrical ambitions, encouraged this passion. However, Veronica's childhood was not one of unbridled joy. The untimely death of her father in a tragic explosion on an oil ship cast a shadow over her early years. This loss would become one of the many hardships she faced, shaping her resilient yet complex character. Despite these early challenges, Veronica's determination to succeed in the entertainment industry never wavered. Her family's relocation to Miami, Florida, became a turning point. Here, she attended Miami High School and began to seriously pursue acting. Her striking looks and natural talent quickly caught the attention of teachers and classmates alike. It was during these formative years that the foundation of her future stardom was laid. Veronica's journey to Hollywood began with a beauty pageant. After winning the title of Miss Miami, she caught the eye of a visiting talent scout. This chance encounter opened the door to a screen test with RKO Pictures, a major Hollywood studio at the time. The test was a success, and soon the young starlet found herself on the brink of a new life in the glittering world of Hollywood. Upon arriving in Hollywood, Veronica faced the daunting task of carving out a place for herself in an industry known for its competitiveness and glamour. She started with minor roles, gradually making her mark. Her unique look, characterized by her blonde hair falling seductively over one eye, became her trademark. This peekaboo hairstyle not only set her apart but also captured the imagination of the public. It was a look that would become synonymous with Veronica Lake, and one that played a significant role in her rise to fame. However, Veronica's path to stardom was not without its hurdles. The early years in Hollywood tested her resolve, with challenges ranging from typecasting to the high demands of studio life. Yet, her perseverance and undeniable talent shone through. She soon landed roles that showcased her range as an actress, moving beyond the stereotypical blonde bombshell image. Living through Hollywood illusions. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood in the 1940s was a world of stark contrasts, and Veronica Lake was at its epicenter. Her rise to fame coincided with a tumultuous era in Hollywood, marked by the glimmer of silver screens and the shadows of a world at war. This period in Veronica's life was a whirlwind of success and struggle as she navigated the complex landscape of fame. Veronica's breakthrough role came in the 1941 film I Wanted Wings. Her performance, coupled with her distinctive hairstyle, captivated audiences and critics alike. This role catapulted her to stardom, establishing her as a major box office draw. Her on-screen persona, often portraying strong, independent women, resonated with the public. Veronica became an icon of the era, her image gracing magazine covers and movie posters. However, the reality of life in Hollywood was far from the perfection portrayed on screen. Veronica's rapid ascent brought with it immense pressure. The film industry, with its demanding schedules and public scrutiny, began to take a toll on her. She was constantly under the watchful eye of the studio, which meticulously managed her image and career. This control extended to her personal life, with studio executives often dictating her choices. Despite these challenges, Veronica continued to deliver memorable performances. Her roles in films like Sullivan's Travels and The Glass Key showcased her versatility as an actress. She became known for her ability to bring depth and nuance to her characters, a talent that set her apart in an industry often criticized for its superficiality. Yet, behind the scenes, Veronica was struggling. The constant pressure to maintain her image and the relentless pace of work began to affect her health and well-being. She started to develop a reputation for being difficult on set, a label that would haunt her career. The industry's harsh spotlight amplified her personal issues, making them fodder for the gossip columns. This period of Veronica's life was a paradoxical mix of professional triumphs and personal challenges. Her experiences in Hollywood during these years were reflective of the broader realities of the film industry. It was a world where illusion and reality were often indistinguishable, and where the price of fame could be steep. As Veronica's career progressed, the cracks in the facade began to show. The strain of living up to Hollywood's expectations was becoming increasingly evident. Her story at this point is a cautionary tale of the pitfalls of fame, a reminder of the human cost behind the glittering images of the silver screen. Glamour's dark side. As Veronica Lake's star continued to rise in Hollywood, the darker aspects of fame began to cast a long shadow over her life. The early 1940s saw her at the peak of her career, yet beneath the surface a storm was brewing. The pressures of stardom, combined with personal challenges, led to a tumultuous phase in Veronica's life, marked by struggles that were largely hidden from the public eye. Veronica's image as a glamorous Hollywood icon was in stark contrast to her growing personal turmoil. Her marriage to art director John S. Detley was falling apart, leading to a divorce in 1943. This personal setback was compounded by the stress of her career, the relentless pace of filming, public appearances, and the demands of being constantly in the spotlight began to take a toll on her mental and physical health. During this time, Veronica's behavior on set became increasingly erratic. Reports of lateness, unpreparedness, and conflicts with directors and co-stars started to emerge. These incidents were often downplayed by the studio's publicity machine, but they signaled deeper issues. Veronica was struggling with alcoholism, a battle that would become a defining struggle in her life. The contrast between Veronica's public persona and her private struggles was emblematic of the era's Hollywood culture. The industry often masked the personal difficulties of its stars, presenting a facade of perfection to the public. For Veronica, this meant that while her films were celebrated, her personal challenges were largely ignored or hidden, exacerbating her sense of isolation. Her roles during this period, such as in This Gun for Hire and The Blue Dahlia, continued to cement her status as a leading lady. However, the strain was evident. The glamour of her on-screen appearances belied the reality of her off-screen life, where she was grappling with a crumbling personal world and an industry that was both the source of her fame and the catalyst for her decline. An icon's decline. In the midst of personal turmoil and a demanding career, Veronica Lake took on a role that diverged from her typical screen persona, contributing to the World War II effort in a unique way. The early 1940s were not only a time of personal struggle for Veronica, but also a period when the world was engulfed in war. Her involvement in the war effort marked a significant shift in her public image and brought to light a different aspect of her character. Veronica's iconic peekaboo hairstyle, while a symbol of glamour, posed an unexpected problem during the war. Women working in factories for the war effort emulated her style, which led to accidents when their hair got caught in machinery. In response, Veronica changed her hairstyle in a widely publicized event, promoting safety for women in the workforce. This act, though seemingly small, was a significant gesture that demonstrated her willingness to support the war effort and adapt her image for a greater cause. Beyond changing her hairstyle, Veronica also participated actively in war bond drives, using her star power to help raise funds for the war. She toured the United States, appearing at events and rallies, encouraging Americans to contribute to the cause. These activities showed a different side of Veronica, one that was engaged with the world beyond Hollywood and willing to use her fame for a meaningful purpose. However, the shift in her public activities did little to alleviate her personal struggles. The war years were a time of contradiction for Veronica. While she was publicly contributing to a significant global cause, privately, she continued to battle her personal demons. Her fight with alcoholism persisted, and her reputation in Hollywood began to suffer as a result of her off-screen behavior. This period in Veronica's life represents a complex interplay between her public image and private struggles. Her involvement in the war effort showcased her as more than just a film star, highlighting her awareness and responsiveness to the world around her. Yet, the contrast between her public contributions and personal challenges paints a picture of a woman caught between the demands of fame and the realities of her own life. Limelight Hidden Battles. As World War II drew to a close, Veronica Lake found herself navigating an increasingly challenging landscape in Hollywood. The post-war era brought changes to the film industry and to societal attitudes, which in turn affected Veronica's career. Her once celebrated image began to lose its luster, and she faced a series of professional setbacks that mirrored her personal struggles. The late 1940s marked a turning point in Veronica's career. The roles that once made her a household name were becoming scarce. The changing tastes of the post-war audience, coupled with Veronica's growing reputation for being difficult to work with, led to a decline in the quality and quantity of her film roles. She was no longer the top-billed star she had been during the war years, and this shift in her professional life was a source of frustration and disappointment for her. Veronica's personal life continued to be tumultuous during this time. Her second marriage to director André de Toth was fraught with difficulties. The couple had 2 children together, but their relationship was marked by instability and conflict. This personal unrest further impacted Veronica's ability to maintain her career in Hollywood. The film industry itself was undergoing significant changes in the late 1940s. The end of the studio system, the rise of television, and the shifting dynamics of American society all played a role in reshaping Hollywood. For stars like Veronica, who had risen to fame under the old system, adapting to these changes was challenging. The roles she was offered were increasingly limited, and her star power was waning. During this period, Veronica made a few notable film appearances, such as in The Blue Dahlia, 1946, but these were exceptions in a career that was clearly in decline. The contrast between her earlier success and her later struggles was stark, and it reflected the broader changes happening in Hollywood and American society. This phase of Veronica's life and career highlights the transient nature of fame and the challenges faced by actors in adapting to a changing industry. Her decline in Hollywood was not just a result of her personal issues, but also a reflection of the evolving landscape of the film industry in the post-war era. Fame's heavy toll. As the 1950s dawned, Veronica Lake's presence in Hollywood had significantly diminished. This period marked a departure from her life as a celebrated film star, leading her into a phase of relative obscurity. The shift away from the limelight was both a consequence of her dwindling career and a choice influenced by her personal circumstances. During this time, Veronica's public appearances became rare, and she took on fewer acting roles. The few roles she did accept were in smaller, less prominent productions, a far cry from the high-profile films of her heyday. This retreat from the spotlight was partly due to the limited opportunities available to her in Hollywood, but it also reflected a change in her personal priorities. Veronica's marriage to André de Toth ended in divorce in 1952, adding another layer of upheaval to her life. The end of her second marriage was a significant personal blow and contributed to her decision to step back from the Hollywood scene. She sought a quieter life, away from the scrutiny and pressures of the film industry. This period was also marked by financial difficulties for Veronica. The wealth and comfort she had enjoyed at the height of her career were no longer assured. She faced a series of financial setbacks, which further distanced her from the glamorous world she once inhabited. Despite these challenges, Veronica attempted to make a comeback in the late 1950s and early 1960s. She appeared in a few films and stage productions, but these efforts failed to reignite her career. The industry had moved on, and Veronica struggled to find a place in the new Hollywood landscape. The 1950s and early 1960s were a time of reflection and reevaluation for Veronica. Away from the glare of Hollywood, she lived a life that was markedly different from her years as a film icon. This phase of her life was a stark contrast to the fame and adulation she had once experienced, illustrating the fleeting nature of celebrity and the challenges faced by stars in maintaining their place in the ever-changing world of entertainment. The later years. In the later years of her life, Veronica Lake attempted a return to the public eye, seeking to recapture some of the fame she had enjoyed in her earlier years. This period was marked by a mix of nostalgia for her past glories and the harsh realities of her present circumstances. In the 1960s, Veronica made sporadic attempts to revive her acting career. She appeared in a few small film and television roles, but these were far from the significant parts she had once played. The industry that had once celebrated her now seemed indifferent, and her attempts at a comeback met with limited success. Despite the challenges, Veronica's return to the public eye did reignite interest in her earlier work. There was a renewed appreciation for her contributions to the film noir genre, and she gained a new audience among those who were discovering her films for the first time. This resurgence of interest provided a bittersweet reminder of her former status as a Hollywood icon. However, Veronica's personal life continued to be fraught with difficulties. She struggled with ongoing health issues, including her battle with alcoholism, which had plagued her for much of her adult life. These struggles were compounded by financial problems, as the wealth she had accumulated during her peak years had long since diminished. In 1966, Veronica published her autobiography, Veronica, the autobiography of Veronica Lake, which offered a candid look at her life and career. The book was an attempt to tell her story in her own words, addressing both her successes and her struggles. It provided a glimpse into the life of a woman who had experienced the highs and lows of fame in a rapidly changing industry. Veronica's later years were a time of reflection and occasional resurgence in the public consciousness. While she never regained the level of fame she had enjoyed in the 1940s, her efforts to return to acting and her candid autobiography helped to cement her legacy as a significant figure in Hollywood history. Her story, with its triumphs and tribulations, remains a poignant example of the ephemeral nature of fame and the enduring impact of the golden age of Hollywood. Veronica Lake's last days. The final chapter of Veronica Lake's life was marked by a quiet and unassuming existence, far removed from the glitz and glamour of her Hollywood heyday. Her last days were spent in relative obscurity, a stark contrast to the fame and adulation she once enjoyed. In the early 1970s, Veronica lived a modest life, having moved away from the Hollywood scene. She resided in various parts of the United States, including a period in the UK, where she sought a fresh start away from the memories and challenges of her past. Despite her efforts to reinvent herself, she continued to face personal and financial difficulties. Veronica's health, which had been compromised by years of alcohol abuse and mental health struggles, continued to decline. She was known to have had several hospitalizations during this period, and her once radiant appearance had faded, a physical manifestation of her internal battles. In 1973, Veronica made a brief return to the public eye with a role in the horror film Flesh Feast. This low-budget production was a far cry from the high-quality noir films that had made her famous. It was her last film appearance and did little to revive her career. Veronica's final years were spent away from the limelight, in a world very different from the one she had once dominated. She worked various jobs, including waitressing, a humbling turn for someone who had once been a major movie star. These jobs were a means of survival, as she had little financial support and no significant income from her acting career. Veronica Lake passed away on July 7, 1973, at the age of 50. Her death was attributed to acute hepatitis and acute kidney injury, conditions exacerbated by her long-standing alcoholism. The news of her passing was met with a mixture of sadness and nostalgia, as the public and the film industry remembered the star she once was. The story of Veronica Lake's final years is a poignant reminder of the transient nature of fame and the personal costs that often accompany a life in the spotlight. Her journey from Hollywood icon to a life of relative anonymity illustrates the unpredictable trajectory of a career in the entertainment industry and the enduring human struggles behind the facade of celebrity. In the 1950s, a young girl decided to change her name from Susan Kerr Weld to Tuesday Weld. On the surface, this seemed a normal thing to do, as many up-and-coming actresses had their names changed for various reasons. However, for this particular girl, altering her name was an attempt to come to terms with the harsh realities fate had presented to her. She had to turn into a different person to cope with the complexities of being a child responsible for providing for her mother and siblings at such a young age. The very struggles she endured led to her nervous breakdown and attempt to take her own life and relationships with men who could be considered father figures. The story of Tuesday Weld is unlike anything you've ever heard before, and this is how it begins. An early tragedy. For Tuesday Weld, the hopes of a normal childhood eluded her before she even began to walk properly. It all began on Friday, the 27th of August, 1943, when this cute girl was born. Bright and starry-eyed, she came into the world with joy and the innocence of a child, but it won't be long before that very innocence would be snatched away. Born Susan Kerr Weld in Manhattan, this girl's childhood was chaotic and challenging. Why? Well, let's start with the fact that her parents were not well-to-do. Not only did her parents struggle financially, her father, Lathrop, battled with several addictions that made life even more difficult for Tuesday and her siblings. But although Lathrop was struggling financially, his parents were rich, so he would often get money from them to take care of his family. Tuesday and her siblings hoped for a better life and maybe a chance to finally enjoy their childhood, but what they didn't know was that fate had other plans. Just before Tuesday turned 4, tragedy struck as they experienced a loss they didn't see coming. Her father passed away, leaving them shattered and penniless. Unfortunately, her mother, Yosen Kerr, was not working at the time, so you can imagine the financial turmoil they were set to face. It was in that moment, in a pit of confusion and despair, that Tuesday's mother noticed how beautiful she was. She also saw then and there that Tuesday had the looks of a star. She then decided to start looking for modeling gigs for Tuesday so that when she got paid, the family would be about to live off her income. From that moment, a heavy responsibility rested on Tuesday's shoulders, and there was nothing she could do about it. Her father's family, who were wealthy and living in Tuxedo Park at the time, offered to take her and her siblings away, but it was on one condition, that their mother will never see them again. Although this was a chance at a better life for the children, her mother was not having it. She didn't want to be separated from her kids, so she decided to use Tuesday to execute her plan. Innocent child turned breadwinner. In a 1971 interview, Tuesday told Life magazine this: "I became the supporter of the family, and I had to take my father's place in many, many ways. I was expected to make up for everything that had ever gone wrong in Mama's life." It's rare to hear of a 5-year-old who walks around believing that they have to work hard in order to fend for their family, but this was Tuesday's reality. Her mother, Yosen, was right. She had the looks and the potential to become a successful child model, and that was exactly what happened. Yosen quickly found a way to get her daughter in modeling spaces, and before she knew it, she was posing as a child model. When Tuesday was not posing for advertisements, she was posing for mail-order catalogs, and nothing about her life resembled the life of a child between the ages of 5 to 8. The work she did put food on the table, so she had no choice but to keep working so that her family won't starve. The pressure was intense, but Tuesday had accepted her fate. Truth is, even grown-ups sometimes crumble under such pressure, so it was surprising that she was able to keep it together for that long. She walked around with the burdens of a 40-year-old man on her shoulders, and as expected, her little shoulders couldn't carry these burdens for long. Soon enough, she broke down and started running to unhealthy coping mechanisms for solace. An early addiction and becoming Hollywood's golden girl. When Tuesday had a nervous breakdown at the age of 9, she didn't get any medical attention. Her mother was more concerned about her making money, so instead of taking the responsibilities off her shoulder, her mother decided to move the family to Fort Lauderdale for a fresh start. But it was a little too late for Tuesday to have even a semblance of a normal childhood. She was already addicted to booze and ran to it quite often to cope with her problems. Shortly after the move, Tuesday had to move back to the Big Apple with her mother, where she would go and work some more in order to provide for her family. By this time, her life was already in shambles. She was dealing with several addictions and was allegedly involved in numerous love affairs. In the year 1956, she dipped her toes into the world of acting by appearing in the low-budget exploitation film Rock, 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 and that was the beginning of her acting career. After a few minor TV appearances, she was noticed by Alfred Hitchcock, who decided to give her a small role in his crime drama film The Wrong Man. Although she had a promising future in the entertainment industry, she was still struggling. Unlike modeling, where she just had to pose, acting required her to memorize lines and embody her characters perfectly. This was even more difficult. Although the roles kept coming in, Weld was suffering emotionally. She reportedly added pills to her list of coping mechanisms, hoping that she would be able to withstand the pressure, but it only kept getting worse. In 1958, she appeared in the comedy film Rally Round the Flag Boys, and in the following year, she portrayed Danny Kaye in The Five Pennies. However, her role in the CBS television series The Many Lives of Dobie Gillises was said to be the role that made her a household name at the time. She became popular for her roles as a precarious sex kitten. While a lot of fans enjoyed her roles, not many of them knew that she was able to embody some of those roles because she grew up too fast. Soon enough, Tuesday became one of Hollywood's most loved teen stars, but in reality, she was suffering and smiling. Tuesday later revealed that she tried to take her own life in the early years of her acting career. When she was just 12 years old, she had enough and she just wanted to end it all. However, her attempt wasn't successful. She was quickly rushed to the hospital where she ended up in a coma. When she recovered, it was as though she decided that she was ready to focus on her career and try to love the life she had built. She later appeared in several other films like Wild in the Country and Bus Stop. She made Hollywood fall helplessly in love with her, but all that changed in the year 2001. The day she left Hollywood. This Hollywood sweetheart spent the better part of her childhood and teenage years gracing the entertainment scene, all in an effort to fulfill her mother's wishes. It was a life filled with lights, cameras, and action as she worked hard to provide for her family. But then in 2001, something shifted. Her world changed dramatically when her mother bid farewell. It seems like her mom's passing made her question why she was still in the entertainment industry. Her mother was no longer there to force her. She was finally free. After her mom's passing, Tuesday Weld decided to hit the pause button on Hollywood. In a surprising move, she packed her bags and headed to the serene landscapes of Colorado, seemingly in pursuit of a quieter and more tranquil existence. It was like she craved a break from the chaos, expressing a deep hunger for silence. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Despite seeking peace and quiet, rumors began to swirl. Some speculated about Weld's mental health, tossing around whispers of bipolar disorder. It added a layer of mystery to her departure from the glitzy world of Hollywood. Fast forward 17 years, and guess what? Tuesday Weld made a comeback to the very place she had bid adieu to, Hollywood. It's like she stepped back into the limelight after almost 2 decades of seeking solace in the mountains. The question is, why the return? What changed in those years of silence and introspection? Only Tuesday can answer these questions. No one knows for a fact if she is going to return to her career one day. Imagine a world where beauty and talent are only the opening chapters of an extraordinary saga. Enter Susan George, a dazzling presence in the cinematic universe whose journey transcends the glamour of Hollywood. This isn't just the story of a starlet rising to fame. It's a gripping tale of resilience in a world where lights and cameras mask battles against towering egos and relentless challenges. With every setback, Susan's unyielding strength rewrites the script of what it means to be a true icon. From the highs of stardom to the shadows of struggle, her life is a testament to perseverance, a narrative so compelling that it blurs the line between real and reality. Who is Susan George? Susan George is a retired English actress known for her work in film and television. She was born on July 26, 1950, in Surbiton, Surrey, England. Susan George began her acting career at a young age and gained recognition for her performances in various films and television shows. In her early years, she loved acting so much that she intentionally performed poorly on her 11+ exam during school, leading to her placement in a secondary modern school instead of a grammar school. This strategic choice was made to enable her to follow her childhood dream of attending drama school. Some of her notable works include appearances in The Dickie Henderson Show, 1962, as well as roles in television series like ITV Television Playhouse, Swallows and Amazons, and Weaver's Green. In the realm of cinema, she had small but significant roles in films such as The Sorcerers, 1967, and Up the Junction, 1968. Susan George's career spanned several decades, and she made a mark for herself as a talented actress. Beyond her professional life, she has been known for her holiday memories at a caravan park in Fontygarry, South Wales, reflecting a connection to both her career and personal life. Keep in mind that information about her life and career may have evolved beyond my last knowledge update in January 2022. Early career. Susan George's early acting career was a journey marked by determination, talent, and a series of pivotal moments that propelled her into the spotlight. Her first significant break came with an appearance in The Dickie Henderson Show in 1962. While this marked her initial foray into the world of entertainment, it was just the beginning of a promising career. The turning point arrived when Susan secured her first movie role. The film that marked her debut was The Sorcerers, released in 1967. This psychological science fiction horror film, directed by Michael Reeves, provided Susan with a platform to showcase her acting prowess on the big screen. For a young actress in the making, this opportunity was more than just a role. It was a stepping stone into the captivating world of cinema. Following her debut, Susan George continued to carve a niche for herself in the film industry. In 1968, she took on another notable role in the film Up the Junction. This drama, directed by Peter Collinson, allowed her to explore different facets of her acting abilities. The film's narrative and Susan's performance contributed to her growing reputation as a versatile and talented actress. As her career gained momentum, Susan George continued to grace the silver screen with a string of roles that showcased her versatility. Whether it was navigating through the psychological nuances of a character or bringing emotional depth to dramatic scenes, Susan became a sought-after talent in the industry. Susan's later years in Hollywood. In the latter phase of Susan George's illustrious career, she solidified her status as a talented and enchanting actress, leaving an enduring impact on global audiences. Transitioning from the defining roles of her early years, Susan embraced diverse and challenging characters that showcased her depth and versatility. Her later career was marked by a series of remarkable performances in noteworthy films. One standout moment came with her role in Straw Dogs 1971, a psychological thriller directed by Sam Peckinpah. Susan's portrayal in the film was both riveting and emotionally charged, earning her acclaim for her nuanced performance. But also, by this time, she had started to become a household name, and fame and fortune followed. Then, following the success of Straw Dogs, Susan George continued to captivate audiences in Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, 1974, a high-octane action film directed by John Ho. Her presence on screen added a layer of sophistication to the genre, demonstrating her ability to elevate diverse cinematic narratives. There was no doubt as to whether or not she was a one-hit wonder. She was perfect for whatever role she was asked to play in, and she did her job to perfection. As Susan delved into the realm of drama, her role in Mandingo, 1975, directed by Richard Fleischer, showcased her versatility. The film, set against the backdrop of the antebellum South, allowed Susan to navigate complex themes with finesse, earning her recognition for the depth she brought to her character. Throughout her later career, Susan George's talent was not only acknowledged but celebrated. Critics and audiences alike praised her authenticity and emotional resonance, recognizing her as a performer who could seamlessly inhabit a wide array of roles. Simultaneously, her timeless beauty and innate charm continued to make her a joy to watch on screen. Collaborating with esteemed directors and fellow accomplished actors, Susan's filmography in the later years included Tomorrow Never Comes, 1978, and The House Where Evil Dwells, 1982, showcasing her enduring appeal. Beyond her acting abilities, Susan George became a cultural icon, celebrated for the indelible mark she left on the world of cinema, a legacy defined by talent, beauty, and the sheer pleasure she brought to audiences in each cinematic endeavor. Awards and recognitions. While she may not have clinched the golden statuettes of Hollywood's major awards, Susan George was well recognized regardless. One notable moment in the limelight came with the Evening Standard British Film Award in 1972. Susan George earned a nomination for Best Actress for her gripping performance in Straw Dogs. The film's controversial nature and her portrayal of Amy Sumner showcased her ability to immerse herself in challenging roles that left a lasting impression. In 1974, Susan George secured the Best Actress Award at the Brussels International Film Festival for her role in The Sorrows of Satan. This recognition underscored her international appeal and marked a triumph in the diverse landscape of her filmography. A nomination for the International Fantasy Film Award for Best Actress came Susan's way, acknowledging her contribution to the horror genre with Die Screaming Mary Ann in 1971. This recognition hinted at her versatility and willingness to delve into the fantastical and macabre. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTA, acknowledged Susan George's talent with a nomination in 1972 for Straw Dogs. This nod from the prestigious British Film Awards ceremony highlighted the critical acclaim she received for her impactful performances. Across the pond, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association recognized Susan's potential, nominating her for the Golden Globe Award for Most Promising Newcomer, Female in 1971 for Straw Dogs. This nomination marked her as a rising star on the international cinematic stage. Intriguing personal life. In addition to her accomplishments in the entertainment industry, Susan shared a deep bond with animals, particularly championing animal welfare causes. Her commitment went beyond advocacy, extending to her active involvement in initiatives aimed at improving the lives of animals, reflecting a woman with a compassionate heart dedicated to making a positive impact. Not only a talented actress and philanthropist, Susan George is also an avid equestrian. Her passion for horses transcended mere appreciation. She actively breeds Arabian horses with a stud farm named Georgian Arabians. This facet of her life showcases a unique connection with nature and animals, demonstrating her commitment to nurturing and preserving the beauty of these majestic creatures. Susan's personal interests extended into the world of entrepreneurship. Her ventures in the fashion industry highlighted a creative side that complemented her artistic pursuits, showcasing a woman of versatility and entrepreneurial spirit. In her personal life, Susan George's relationships were integral to her journey. She shared a profound connection with British actor Simon McCorkindale, whom she married on October 5, 1984. Their union, lasting until his passing on October 14, 2010, marked a significant chapter in her life. Despite not having children, their partnership was a testament to enduring love and mutual support. Before her marriage to Simon, Susan's personal life included a 4-year relationship with American singer Jack Jones. Around 1980, she spent another 4 years as the partner of casino manager Derek Webster. These relationships, while not without their complexities, added layers to Susan's personal narrative, shaping the woman behind the actress. As Susan George navigated the complexities of both her personal and professional worlds, her life became a mosaic of experiences, from the warmth of family bonds to the excitement of romantic entanglements, from the quiet joys of horse breeding to the entrepreneurial spirit that fueled her creative pursuits. Her journey humanizes her beyond the cinematic spotlight. Susan George was a woman of substance, passion, and purpose. In the early 1940s, Ava Gardner went from being a poor teenager from Grabtown to being one of the most desired stars in Hollywood. While this transformation changed her financial status, fame came with its challenges. From navigating Hollywood as a young, attractive woman to having romantic relationships with some of the most attractive men in Hollywood, Ava Gardner lived an interesting life. In the late 1980s, she decided to let the world know some of her deepest, darkest secrets by writing a memoir. You are about to unveil some of the shocking revelations she penned down in her memoir. The Calm Before the Storm. Like many other Hollywood stars, Ava Gardner came from humble beginnings. Several years before the spotlight shone on her, Ava Gardner was living a normal life in the rural community of Grabtown. Born on Christmas Eve in 1922, Ava Gardner was the 7th child of Jonas and Mary Gardner. Right from childhood, Ava was a bright young girl, and greatness was written all over her. She spent her early years surrounded by her siblings and parents as they lived in a farmhouse. She grew up enveloped by the enchanting landscapes of the rural South, where cotton fields stretched as far as the eye could see, and the sunsets painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Around their house, there were acres of land where her parents cultivated cotton in order to earn a living. Truth is, Ava's parents were hardworking people, and they did all they could to provide for their children, but tragedy soon struck and frustrated their efforts. When Ava turned 3, her family experienced something that shook the foundation of their close-knit family. It was said that a fire erupted and burnt down their barn and cotton gin to the ground. It was a terrible experience that completely changed their lives. The tragedy left their finances in shambles, and Ava's family had to start again from scratch. Her family would later be relocated to Brogden, where her parents took on odd jobs in order to survive. With the dawn of the Great Depression, things got worse for the family, but through it all, her parents insisted on Ava and her sisters getting basic education. After the unfortunate death of her father in 1938, Ava and her family were left to fend for themselves. Somehow, growing up in these difficult situations made Ava Gardner even more resilient. She would later find herself gravitating towards the world of showbiz. Interestingly, her mother saw that she had star potential right from the start and encouraged her to step into Hollywood when the opportunity presented itself. Ava Gardner was still very young when she was discovered. Sure, she was excited about being a Hollywood star, but nothing prepared her for the shocking events that would unfold. Entering the tumultuous world of Hollywood, it was like a dream come true when Ava Gardner was selected to be one of MGM's young stars. Little did this 18-year-old know that fame and influence came at a cost. In the bustling streets of New York City, a star was about to be born, and her name was Ava Gardner. Her journey to Hollywood stardom was set in motion by a series of serendipitous events and the discovery of her radiant beauty. As fate would have it, one fateful day, her elder sister's husband, who was a portrait photographer, thought it would be wise to take pictures of young Ava Gardner and display them in his studio. Ava Gardner's beauty and natural charisma were evident from the moment she stepped in front of Larry Tarr's camera. Recognizing her potential, Tarr wasted no time and took several captivating portraits of the young beauty. Larry Tarr was so impressed by Ava's photographs that he displayed them in the window of his photography studio. Little did he know that these very pictures would become the catalyst for Ava's journey to stardom. One of those very portraits caught the eye of a prominent talent agent, who was immediately struck by Ava's stunning features and undeniable allure. This agent wasted no time in reaching out to Ava and offering her an opportunity that would change her life forever. The name of this influential talent agent was Al Altman. He saw in Ava Gardner the potential for greatness and saw to it that her talent was recognized by the right people in the entertainment industry. It wasn't long before Ava's unique beauty and promising star quality caught the attention of none other than MGM Studios, one of Hollywood's most prestigious film studios. MGM was determined to turn this diamond in the rough into a shining star on the silver screen. She may not have aced her first test in the studio, but they believed that they could train her and turn her into a star. With a contract in hand, Ava Gardner bid farewell to her life in New York and embarked on a new chapter in Hollywood. It was 1941 when she made her debut in a small role in the film Babes on Broadway, which was just the beginning of her remarkable career. Her looks were undeniably instrumental in opening doors for her in Hollywood. With her piercing green eyes, cascading brunette locks, and radiant smile that could light up the darkest room, she possessed a kind of beauty that was simply irresistible. But it wasn't just her beauty that set her apart. Ava had a presence and confidence that demanded attention, making her a standout among the aspiring starlets of the time. As she honed her acting skills and gained more experience, critics and audiences alike couldn't help but notice the raw talent that lay beneath her beautiful exterior. She had a unique ability to connect with her characters and bring them to life on the screen. As the years went by, Ava Gardner's star continued to rise, and she went on to deliver unforgettable performances in iconic films like The Killers, Mogambo, and The Barefoot Contessa, making her one of the brightest stars in Hollywood. As expected, her glory days in Hollywood came with a lot of attention from men. She was one of the most desired actresses of her time, and a lot of influential men wanted to be with her. But after several years of fame and influence, Ava Gardner found herself in a dark place in the late 1980s. The lights had dimmed and the applause had faded. She was broke, alone, and usually drowning in alcohol. This was the period that she made up her mind to write a memoir, revealing some of her deepest, darkest secrets. Her shocking revelations about Mickey Rooney. "I either write the book or sell the jewels, and I'm kinda sentimental about the jewels." Ava Gardner said this as she explained why she made up her mind to write a book. She desperately needed to get out of the financial situation she was in, and she knew without a shadow of a doubt that a memoir would grab the attention of several people and sell like crazy. As soon as her mind was made up, she called the renowned British journalist Peter Evans to ghostwrite a book filled with her deathbed confessions. At the very top of her confession list was the story of her relationship and marriage to none other than Mickey Rooney. Ava Gardner was only 19 years old when she met Mickey Rooney on the MGM set. The young Mike Rooney was filming a comedic musical number when Ava Gardner stepped in. Mickey was completely mesmerized by her beauty, and he could not resist her. Soon after, they fell in love and got married. Ava revealed that she was innocent and still a virgin when she married Mickey Rooney. In her memoir, she stated that Mike Rooney was extremely sexually attracted to her and that she had no idea that he was a cheater. In her words, "I still didn't know he was the biggest wolf on the lot. He'd screw anything that moved." The two youngsters seemed like the it couple, but their marriage was not as it seemed on the surface. In her memoir, Ava Gardner made shocking revelations about her tumultuous relationship with Mike Rooney. According to her, her marriage to Mickey Rooney would become a tumultuous affair, riddled with betrayal and heartache. After their wedding, he began to unleash the cheater in him. She recalled a particular incident that took place at one of the lowest moments of her life. She had fallen ill and was hospitalized after an appendectomy. To her greatest surprise, Mike Rooney didn't hesitate to cheat on her. Even though Ava was recovering from an appendectomy in the hospital, Mickey Rooney's wandering eye knew no bounds. In a stunning display of audacity, he chose to cheat on his stunning wife right in their marital bed. As Ava Gardner lay in the hospital, weakened from the surgery, She never expected her husband's disloyalty to strike so close to home. The betrayal in her most vulnerable moment was proof of Rooney's reckless behavior all through their marriage. Known for his insatiable appetite for women, Mickey Rooney seemed to move from one conquest to another with ease. According to Ava, he went through the ladies like a hot knife through fudge, indicating the extent of his infidelity. Through her candid statement, Ava Gardner shed light on the painful reality of her marriage, unveiling the heartache she endured as her husband's eyes wandered all through their marriage. Through it all, they maintained an image of a perfect couple on the outside, until their marriage came crumbling down in May 1943, a year later. Sadly, her tumultuous first marriage was only the beginning of a series of romantic relationships that would affect Ava Gardner in ways she never imagined. She never loved Howard Hughes. After her first marriage came to an end, the actress got into a relationship with Howard Hughes. She had genuinely given her heart to Mike Rooney, but she couldn't say the same for Howard Hughes. In her memoir, she revealed that she never loved Howard. She made it clear that she was appreciative of what he did for her mother, but she didn't like certain things about him. When her mother was dying, Howard paid for her medical care. This was a reflection of his kind heart, but there were some things about him that she just couldn't shake off. In her memoir, she alleged that Howard had prejudiced views and biased attitudes. In her words, Howard wouldn't piss on a black man to put him out if he was on fire. As surprising as this revelation was, Ava Gardner was just getting started. Her next revelation was about Arty Shaw, her second husband. She called Arty Shaw a bully. Her career was beginning to take off in the mid-1940s, and everything seemed to be going well. Then she met Arty Shaw. He seemed like the perfect man, but time would prove otherwise. As fate would have it, Ava's introduction to Arty came through a mutual friend, actress Frances Heflin, and it was an encounter that sparked a whirlwind romance. Arty had just returned from the Second World War, and he was riding the waves of fame as a celebrated band leader and composer. When they met, they looked like a match made in heaven. With his intelligence and charisma, Ava fell head over heels for him in no time. Their love blossomed, and after several months of dating, Ava took the leap and moved in with Arty. On a serene October day in 1945, the couple exchanged vows in a small ceremony at their Beverly Hills abode. Ava was 22 at the time, while Arty was 35 years old. Their age gap seemed to not be a problem, and their love certainly looked beautiful on the outside. Unfortunately, the fairy tale took a bitter turn once the confetti settled. Despite a longer courtship and living together before tying the knot, their marital bliss was short-lived, and the relationship began to unravel after the wedding bells had chimed. In the pages of her memoir, Ava Gardner would later lift the curtain on the truth behind her turbulent marriage. The Arty Shaw she thought she knew was not the man he appeared to be. Ava revealed that beneath Shaw's suave exterior lay a different side, a kind of bully who constantly belittled her, chipping away at her confidence and happiness. In her words, he was another kind of bully. He was always putting me down. The revelation in her memoir was a shocking twist in the tale of their love story, unveiling a darker reality behind the glamorous facade of Hollywood's golden couple. Ava Gardner's revelation about Arty Shaw certainly came as a shock to a lot of people who thought their marriage was flawless, but what was even more surprising was what she did as a result of the pain that Arty Shaw put her through. She took an IQ test. Within the pages of her memoir, Ava Gardner would unveil something that she did while she was married to Arty Shaw. Despite the success she had amassed in Hollywood, Ava claimed that she found herself grappling with feelings of intellectual inadequacy when she was married to Arty Shaw. She claimed that she was so unhappy that she found herself indulging in vices. According to her, she was smoking 3 packs of Winstons a day and getting drunk constantly while she was married to Arty Shaw. In her words, he had me convinced that I was completely stupid. I didn't have an enormous IQ, but I did have a high one. In her memoir, she revealed that her then-husband, Arty Shaw, said and did things that made her doubt herself. Ava felt intellectually overshadowed by Shaw's brilliance, which left her yearning for a way to measure her own intelligence. In search of validation, she decided to take an IQ test. The IQ test became a pivotal moment in Ava's life, as it revealed that her insecurities were unfounded. Her results indicated a high score, proving that she was more than just a woman with good looks. She possessed intelligence and wit that could rival the best. The revelation of her high IQ score was both empowering and liberating for Ava. After seeing the test result, her self-doubt was finally put to rest. The couple later got divorced on the 25th of October 1946. She claimed that Arty dumped her 1 week after their first anniversary for another woman. However, the end of her marriage to Arty Shaw would lead her to a man that she considered the love of her life, finding true love and a secret affair. When Frank Sinatra laid his eyes on Ava Gardner, he knew then and there that he wanted her for himself, but he was married at the time. Although he ended up leaving his wife for her, Ava Gardner revealed that she was unfaithful to Frank Sinatra. In the late 1940s, Ava Gardner's career was on the rise. She was making waves for her role in high-profile movies like The Hucksters and The Great Sinner. This was the period that she began to fall in love with renowned singer and actor Frank Sinatra. Ava and Frank Sinatra initially met while she was still married to her first husband, but nothing transpired between them until they met again in a party in 1949. Frank was still married to Grace Sinatra at the time, but their marriage was reportedly in shambles. It was said that Ava and Frank could not stay away from each other, so they began a secret love affair. They tried to be discreet, but the world soon found out about it. In her memoir, she said Frank Sinatra knew that it was true love on the first date. This was how their first date went. In the late-night hours, as they embarked on a drunken drive from Palm Springs to Indio, an adventure unfolded that solidified their bond. Armed with a pair of .38s kept in his glove compartment, the chairman and his beloved companion playfully shot out streetlights and store windows, leaving behind a trail of unforgettable memories. Frank was in the process of divorcing his wife at the time, but as soon as the divorce was final, he and Ava tied the knot in 1951. Ava was in her late 20s at the time, and Frank was in his mid-50s. Their love was said to be electrifying at the start, but things soon changed. In her memoir, she revealed that they started having problems during their courtship. From the outset, their courtship seemed like a tempestuous whirlwind, marked by fiery encounters and bouts of boozing and fighting. While their passionate connection drew them together, it also led them down a path filled with turbulence and emotional storms. Ava also revealed that she got pregnant twice when she was with Frank Sinatra, and she aborted both times. These heart-wrenching choices made amidst the strains of their relationship left an indelible mark on both of their lives. As the years passed, the fervor that once brought them together couldn't save them from their own inner demons. The same intensity that sparked their romance seemed to fuel their conflicts, leading to a marriage that mirrored the turbulence of their courtship. Their union became plagued by public dispute and chaos that filled the tabloids. Shockingly, one of Ava Gardner's deathbed revelations was about her secret affair with Robert Mitchum. She revealed that while she was seeing Frank Sinatra, she was having an affair with Robert. In her words, "I was crazy about him." When she summoned the courage to tell Robert that she was also seeing Frank Sinatra, he ended things immediately. In her memoir, she detailed what he said: "Get into a fight with him and he won't stop until one of you is dead." Gardner said Robert didn't want to risk it being him, so he fled for his life. Frank Sinatra and Ava kept trying to make things work, but after a while they decided to end things. Their divorce was later finalized on the 5th of July, 1957. Ava went on to reveal more facts about her relationships, but her claims about what George Scott did to her were indeed shocking. George C. Scott did this to her behind closed doors. One of Ava Gardner's deathbed revelations was the truth about her brief relationship with George Scott. While the duo were dating back in the day, their fans admired them and people said they were a cute couple. However, there was nothing cute about what was happening between the couple behind closed doors. She claimed that George Scott had been abusive towards her while they were in a relationship. She went on to detail one of the fights they had and how dark it got. According to her, he got physically abusive when he was drunk. In one of their fights, she said Scott smashed bottles to make weapons. She was terrified of what he was going to do next, but again, he had abused her this way before. In her words, He was kneeling across me, waving the jagged edges of the glass in front of my face with one hand and hitting me with the other, telling me he loved me and smashing a fist into my eye. "Marry me, do you hear what I'm saying?" Followed by another blow. People were certainly shocked to find out that she endured all this, but of all the things she said in her memoir, she made it clear that she was aware that she made bad choices when it came to men. She also said that her friend warned her about some of the men that she dated, but she didn't listen. Lana Turner tried to warn her. All through her lifetime, some of her heartache came as a result of the men she chose to date. Perhaps if she listened to her best friend, things would have been different. Ava Gardner's best friend, Lana Turner, was also known to have attracted some of the most successful and influential men at the time. Interestingly, she was once romantically involved with some of the men that Ava Gardner was later involved with. She saw the different sides to these men, and she knew what they were capable of, so she didn't hesitate to advise Ava Gardner. When Ava Gardner told Lana about her decision to be with Frank Sinatra, Lana begged her not to go through with it. Interestingly, Lana had affairs with both Frank Sinatra and Shaw in the past, so she was well equipped to advise her friend. Recalling what her best friend told her, Ava Gardner wrote, "I've been there, honey," she told me. "Don't do it." I should have listened to her. The deed had already been done. She got into the relationships, learned her lessons, and lived to tell her story. The actress's life was truly one hell of a ride, but through it all, she tried to live life to the fullest. Although she started married to each of her husbands for a short period,